Let's address the main question regarding creation of realistic models of footballers. How do we manage to dynamically change tattoos, hair, and hairstyles, all those important details that normally attract so much attention? We'll also mention some tools and models we use to improve the overall quality. 𝗙cie, how does your team manage to stay on top of updates? How quickly do you try to address changes of tattoos or hairstyles?
Honestly, with over 5,000 players, it's incredibly challenging to track who's changed what. For instance, we have 𝗙cie. He's had almost the same hairstyle for years, except for the early stages of his career. The most unpredictable time for us, in terms of player hairstyle changes, is during the summer break. You never know with what hairstyle a player might return. For players who frequently change their hairstyles, we often can't keep up. The production time for creating a new hairstyle can sometimes exceed the time it takes for them to change it again. And in such cases, we decide if we want and may keep one recognizable hairstyle instead of changing it. Additionally, for top players, we aim to capture as many individual facial expressions as possible. We have a dedicated 𝗙liche team working on facial animation for such footballers. Let's talk a little bit more about it. We already have a proper model of a player, and the 𝗙liche team gathers even more video references to create more natural emotions for those footballers. This way, they create credible and recognizable looks for sadness, anger, pain, and other emotions seen on the field. The 𝗙liche team is analyzing each and every detail and using our internal technology to sculpt each expression, smiles, wrinkles, everything. In CGI, there's this concept of the uncanny valley. It's an issue that may occur even in top-tier cinematic projects where there are no such constraints as we face in video games.
If there are no technical or legal constraints, what would you add? What would you do to make the game even more realistic?
Let's assume there are no restrictions. We could travel to any location, scan players, and capture their facial expressions with all details possible. We'd harness the full power of Unreal Engine. I suppose as a result, that would look like a movie. We'd create real football. In some moments, it would be hard to tell if you're watching a broadcast or playing a game. We could track all matches, record player movements, and attach motion sensors to the players to capture their unique characteristics. There are some practical reasons why we can't do this now, but if we implemented it all in a football simulator, it would be a groundbreaking product. Of course, we're working on it, but we're always constrained by technical and hardware limitations from Unreal and the devices on which our game is actually played.
Do you think someday these limitations will disappear?
Definitely. Someday there will be no limitations. I imagine a future where they just plug something into my brain and I can create a football simulator with all my favorite players in a minute. If I live to see that day, it'll be amazing. But for now, this is how we work. And it's not just us. Every team working on football simulators faces the same challenges. It's an immense work involving many professionals. But with each version, we add new features and improvements, following a roadmap that we have planned for many months to go. In recent versions, we've worked, for example, on sweat, how much a player sweats depending on their stamina, the amount they've run, or their role. Goalkeepers sweat differently, as do referees, and so on. Or let's look at a replay tool we have in our game. Here you can see nighttime lighting. Players are illuminated from all sides evenly, and that's actually what stadium floodlights are for. This way, in the real-life football, all spectators, both at the stadium and those who watch a match on their TV, get the same view. Theoretically, the only deep shadow we have with such lighting would be under the chin. But in real life, light reflects off the grass and fills in the gaps. So this is what nighttime lighting looks like. And now, let's look at what we see during the daylight. It's a noticeably different scheme.
Let's see the difference.
Daylight lighting comes from one direction only. Here, in our case, it is the sun. And this is already an important difference. We're also working on adding reflections from the stands or objects, from everything in shadows. Without these reflections, the overall image would feel flat. It's a complex process because there are many players with various skin tones, each requiring detailed work. We ensure the eyes look correctly in shadows with correct accents. Like now, we see how a player is following another player with a ball. We also add details like teeth and tongue movement, so that when a player opens their mouth, it doesn't appear empty.
Thanks, 𝗙cie. This was fascinating. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing how it all develops in the future.
Thank you very much.